The coffee hit Olivia Turner's blouse before she even saw it coming, and when she looked up into the steely gray eyes of Yates Bradford, she knew this internship at Bradford Luxury Hotels was going to be hell. "Watch where you're going," he snapped, not bothering to help her as the scalding liquid seeped through the fabric. "You ran into me," Olivia shot back, her voice sharp despite the burn spreading across her skin. She grabbed napkins from a nearby table in the executive lounge, dabbing futilely at the stain spreading across her white silk blouse. Yates Bradford, CEO of the most prestigious hotel chain on the East Coast, didn't apologize. He simply turned on his heel and walked away, leaving Olivia standing there with ruined clothing and rising anger. She had heard the stories about him during her first week. Demanding, perfectionist, cold as ice, but she had dismissed them as gossip until now. The worst part was that she had to see him again in 20 minutes for the quarterly strategy meeting. As a graduate intern in the marketing department, she had been thrilled when her supervisor selected her to present the social media analytics report. Now she would have to stand in front of the executive board looking like she had gotten dressed in the dark. Olivia rushed to the bathroom, did her best to clean up, and threw on the blazer she kept in her office. It would have to do. When she entered the boardroom 15 minutes later, every seat was filled except one directly across from Yates Bradford. Of course. She slid into the chair and opened her laptop, refusing to look at him. But she could feel his eyes on her, that penetrating stare that seemed to cut through everything. When her turn came to present, she stood and walked to the front of the room with confidence she did not feel. "Our Instagram engagement is up 42% this quarter," she began, clicking to the first slide. "The campaign focusing on guest experiences rather than amenities has resonated strongly with millennials and Gen Z travelers." "Those numbers are misleading," Yates interrupted, his voice cutting through her presentation like a knife. "Instagram likes do not translate to bookings." Olivia felt heat rise in her cheeks, but she kept her voice steady. "Actually, if you look at slide 7, you will see that we tracked conversion rates. Guests who engaged with our Instagram content were 30% more likely to book within 2 weeks. Correlation is not causation. I am aware of basic statistics, Mr. Bradford. The data accounts for multiple variables." The room went silent. No one interrupted Yates Bradford. No one challenged him. Olivia realized her mistake too late, but she refused to back down. She had spent 3 weeks compiling this data, and she knew it was solid. Yates leaned back in his chair, his eyes never leaving hers. For a long moment he said nothing. Then, "Continue." She did, and he did not interrupt again, though she felt his gaze on her throughout the entire presentation. When she finished, the chief marketing officer praised her work, and the meeting moved on to other topics. But Olivia could not shake the feeling of those gray eyes boring into her. After the meeting, she gathered her materials quickly, hoping to escape before anyone could comment on her coffee-stained appearance or her boldness in talking back to the CEO. She almost made it to the elevator. "Miss Turner," she froze, turned. Yates Bradford stood in the hallway, hands in his pockets, expression unreadable. "Yes, Mr. Bradford, your presentation was thorough." She waited for the other shoe to drop. "But your methodology for tracking conversion attribution needs work. Instagram may be part of the customer journey, but claiming a 30% increase without controlling for seasonal booking patterns, competitor pricing, and our concurrent email campaigns is premature." Olivia felt her jaw tighten. "I did control for those variables. The full methodology is in the appendix, which I did not have time to present." "Then you should have prioritized differently. Perhaps if I had not been interrupted, I would have gotten to it." The words came out before she could stop them, For the second time that day, she had challenged him. For the second time, he stared at her with that intense, unreadable expression. "Send me the full report," he said finally, "with all supporting data." Then he walked away, leaving Olivia standing by the elevator, heart pounding, unsure if she had just impressed him or signed her termination papers. The next morning, Olivia arrived at 7 to find an email from Yates Bradford sent at 5:30 a.m. She opened it with trepidation. "Miss Turner, your full analysis addresses my concerns. The work is solid. However, your presentation skills need refinement. My office, 9 a.m. Olivia read it 3 times, trying to determine if she was being praised, criticized, or summoned for a firing. At 9 a.m. sharp, she knocked on his office door. "Come in." His office was exactly what she expected, sleek, modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Yates sat behind a massive desk, typing on his computer. He did not look up immediately. "Sit." Olivia sat in one of the leather chairs facing his desk, folding her hands in her lap to keep from fidgeting. "You are a graduate intern," he said, finally looking at her. "Marketing focus." "Yes." "How much longer is your internship?" Her stomach dropped. 3 months, he nodded slowly. "The Parker Hotel acquisition closes next week. It is our first boutique property and the brand transition needs to be flawless. The marketing strategy is weak. I am putting together a task force to overhaul it." Olivia waited, unsure where this was going. "I want you on it." She blinked. "I am sorry, what?" "You heard me, Miss Turner. Despite your inability to control your tongue, your analytical skills are exactly what this project needs." "Who else is on the task force?" "Me." The single word hung in the air between them. "You want me to work directly with you on the Parker acquisition? Is that a problem?" "No, I am an intern. An intern who is not afraid to challenge faulty assumptions. That is what I need." He pulled out a folder and slid it across the desk. "This is everything we have so far. Familiarize yourself with it. We start tomorrow, 7 a.m. in the small conference room on this floor. Do not be late." Olivia took the folder, her mind racing. Working directly with Yates Bradford for the next 3 months could make her career or destroy it. Probably both. "I will be there," she said. "And Miss Turner?" "Yes. Get better coffee awareness. I cannot work with someone who cannot navigate a simple hallway." Her mouth dropped open, but he had already returned to his computer, dismissing her. She left his office fuming. He had run into her, not the other way around, and they both knew it. That evening, Olivia called her best friend Marcus while poring over the Parker Hotel materials. "He is impossible," she said, phone tucked between her shoulder and ear as she made notes. "Arrogant, condescending, and apparently incapable of basic apologies. He is also one of the most successful hotel executives in the country," Marcus pointed out. "And he just put an intern on a major acquisition project. That is huge, Liv." "I know. I just wish he were not so infuriating. Or so attractive." "What? No, that is not. Where did that come from?" Marcus laughed. "You mentioned his gray eyes twice and his intense stare and how he towers over everyone." "I did not say that." "You absolutely did." "Well, it does not matter if he is attractive. He is unbearable. And he is my boss. Technically, he is everyone's boss. He owns the company." That night, Olivia lay awake thinking about the project. The Parker Hotel was a historic boutique property in downtown Boston, the kind of place with character and charm that Bradford luxury hotels usually lacked. Their standard properties were beautiful but soulless, all marble lobbies and impersonal elegance. The challenge would be integrating the Parker into the Bradford portfolio without stripping away what made it special. She had ideas. Lots of them. The question was whether Yates Bradford would listen. The next morning, Olivia arrived at 6:45 with coffee, pastries, and a presentation loaded on her laptop. If he wanted professionalism, she would give him professionalism. Yates walked in at 6:55, looking annoyingly well-rested in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her rent. "You are early," he observed. "I wanted to be prepared." His eyes flicked to the coffee and pastries, then to her laptop. "You prepared a presentation." "I said we were starting today, not that you needed to present. I had ideas. I thought you would want to hear them." For a moment, something that might have been amusement flickered across his face. Then it was gone. "Show me." Olivia opened her laptop, pulled up her slides, and launched into her pitch. She had spent half the night refining it, and it showed. She proposed a dual-brand strategy that would let the Parker maintain its boutique identity while leveraging Bradford's resources and loyalty program. She had mock-ups, customer personas, and a phased rollout plan. When she finished, Yates was silent. He stood and walked to the window, hands in his pockets, staring out at the city. "That strategy contradicts everything Bradford Hotels stands for," he said finally. Olivia's heart sank. "Which is exactly why it might work." He turned to face her. "Our brand is stagnant. We appeal to business travelers and luxury seekers, but we are losing ground to boutique hotels that offer experiences instead of just accommodations. The Parker acquisition is a test case. If we can make this work, we can expand into the boutique market without alienating our existing customer base." "So you like it?" "I did not say that." "Your timeline is too aggressive. Your budget projections are optimistic, and you have not accounted for staff retention issues during the transition." "I can revise those." "You will have to, but the core concept is sound." He returned to his seat, pulling out his own laptop. "Let me show you what the previous team proposed." For the next 2 hours, they worked side by side, dissecting the existing marketing plan and identifying its weaknesses. Despite his abrasive personality, Yates was brilliant. He saw angles Olivia had missed, asked questions that sharpened her thinking and pushed her to defend every assumption. He also argued with everything she said. "That tagline is generic. It tested well with focus groups. Focus groups lie to be polite. It is boring." "Then what would you suggest? Something that captures the actual experience. What makes the Parker different? It has history, original architecture from 1889. Every room is unique." "Then say that. History you can feel, luxury that remembers," he typed as he spoke. "Something along those lines." Olivia hated that it was better than her version. They worked through lunch, ordering sandwiches that went cold while they debated brand positioning. By 3 p.m., Olivia's head hurt and her patience was wearing thin. "We are going in circles," she said, rubbing her temples. "You hate every idea I propose, but you have not offered a complete alternative." "I do not hate your ideas. I am refining them. By shooting them down, by challenging them. If an idea cannot withstand criticism, it is not strong enough to execute. There is a difference between constructive criticism and being contrary for the sake of it." Yates closed his laptop and looked at her directly. "You think I am being contrary. I think you enjoy arguing." "I do. With people who can keep up." He stood, gathering his materials. "We will continue tomorrow, same time. Bring revised budget projections and 3 alternative taglines." "3. If I am so contrary, you should have backups." He left, and Olivia resisted the urge to throw something at the door. The pattern continued for 2 weeks. They met every morning at 7, worked until Yates had other meetings, then reconvened in the afternoon. They argued about everything: color schemes, advertising channels, opening event concepts, staff uniforms. Olivia learned to come prepared with data to back up every suggestion because Yates would demand it. She also learned that he respected her more when she fought back. The lobby should keep the original brass fixtures, she insisted during one particularly heated debate. Replacing them with modern chrome defeats the entire purpose of marketing this as a historic property. Brass is outdated. Brass is classic. There is a difference. Your regular hotels have chrome. This one should have character. Character does not mean dated. And modern does not mean better. You hired me for my perspective on younger travelers, and I am telling you, they want authenticity. They want Instagram-worthy spaces with history, not another minimalist lobby that looks like every other hotel. Yates stared at her, that intense gaze that made her skin prickle. She stared back, refusing to back down. "Fine," he said. "Keep the brass, but the furniture gets updated." "Agreed. I already have vintage-inspired pieces sourced that fit the aesthetic and the budget." "Of course you do." Something in his tone made her look up. He was almost smiling. Almost. On Friday of the second week, Olivia stayed late finishing the comprehensive marketing deck they would present to the board on Monday. The office was quiet, most people having left by 6. She was so focused on her work that she did not notice someone approaching until Yates spoke. "You are still here." She jumped, hand flying to her chest. "You scared me. Sorry, I thought you had left. I wanted to finish formatting the deck." He came around to look at her screen, standing close enough that she could smell his cologne, something subtle and expensive. Her pulse quickened, and she hated herself for it. "This looks good," he said after a moment. "The flow is logical. Thank you. Coming from you, that is practically a glowing review. I am not that bad. You told me yesterday that my font choices were aggressive. They were. You used too many variations. It looked chaotic. I used 3 fonts. 3 is too many." Olivia laughed despite herself. "You are impossible. So you keep saying." He pulled over a chair and sat next to her. "Walk me through the financial projections one more time. I want to make sure the board will not have questions we cannot answer." They worked for another hour, Olivia increasingly aware of his presence beside her. It was different than their usual meetings, quieter and less combative. When she made a joke about one of the more conservative board members, Yates actually laughed, a real laugh that transformed his entire face. "You have been talking to Helen in accounting," he said. "She has opinions about everyone. She has been with the company for 30 years. She has earned the right. How long have you been CEO? 5 years. I took over when my father retired. So you grew up in this business. Literally. My father brought me to hotel sites when I was a kid. I spent summers working front desks, learning operations." He paused. "He built this company from 1 property to 52. Those are big shoes to fill." It was the most personal thing he had shared, and Olivia found herself curious. "Is that why you are so demanding? Because you feel like you have something to prove?" Yates looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Maybe, or maybe I just expect excellence. There is expecting excellence, and then there is making your employees afraid to breathe around you. Are you afraid?" "No. Good, you should not be." He stood, closing his laptop. "Go home, Miss Turner. We have a big day Monday and you need rest." "What about you? I have some calls to make. International time zones." Olivia packed her things, hyper-aware of him watching her. At the door, she turned back. "Yates." It was the first time she had used his first name, and she saw surprise flicker in his eyes. "We make a good team, on this project, I mean, despite all the arguing." He held her gaze for a long moment. "Yes, we do." The weekend passed in a blur of final preparations. Monday morning, Olivia dressed in her best suit and arrived at the office an hour early. The boardroom was already set up, her laptop connected to the projector. Yates arrived shortly after, looking calm and collected as always. "Ready?" he asked. "Ready." The board filtered in over the next 10 minutes. Olivia recognized most of them from her first week. the chief financial officer, the chief operating officer, several major investors, and Yates's father, Richard Bradford, the founder and former CEO. Richard was in his 70s but still sharp, his eyes missing nothing as he took his seat at the head of the table. Yates stood. "Thank you all for coming. As you know, the Parker Hotel acquisition closes Friday. Today, we are presenting the comprehensive marketing and brand integration strategy. I will turn it over to Miss Olivia Turner, who has led the development of this plan." Olivia stood, ignoring the flutter of nerves in her stomach. This was her moment. She presented for 40 minutes, walking through every element of the strategy: brand positioning, marketing channels, budget allocation, timeline, and projected ROI. Yates interjected occasionally to add context or emphasize key points, but mostly he let her drive the presentation. When she finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then Richard Bradford spoke. "This is bold. It contradicts much of what we have built Bradford hotels on." "Yes, sir," Olivia said, keeping her voice steady. "But the market is changing. Travelers want experiences and authenticity. If we do not adapt, we risk becoming irrelevant." "She is right," Yates added. "We are already seeing decreased bookings from travelers under 40. The Parker is our opportunity to capture that market without abandoning our core business." The CFO leaned forward. "The budget is substantial. If this fails, we will have lost not only the marketing investment but also the value of the Parker property itself." "Which is why we have built in quarterly assessment points," Olivia said. "If the metrics are not meeting targets, we can adjust course before committing the full budget." For the next 30 minutes, the board grilled her on every aspect of the plan. Olivia answered each question with confidence, grateful for Yates's relentless preparation sessions. Several times, he stepped in to support her points or provide additional context. Finally, Richard called for a vote. The plan passed unanimously. After the board filed out, Olivia sagged against the table, adrenaline draining away. "You did well," Yates said, packing up his materials. "We did well. You backed me up on every challenge, because you were right and prepared." He looked at her, that intense gaze that still made her pulse quicken. "This is your project now, Miss Turner. You will lead the implementation." "What? But I am an intern." "Not anymore. I am offering you a full-time position as marketing manager for the Parker Hotel. Report directly to me. Salary commensurate with the role." Olivia stared at him, speechless. "Unless you have other plans after graduation?" he asked, one eyebrow raised. "No, this is not how internships usually end." "You are not a usual intern. Do you want the job or not?" "Yes. Yes, absolutely. Good. You start officially next Monday. Human Resources will send over the paperwork." He headed for the door, then paused. "And Miss Turner, you can call me Yates, at least when we are not in front of the board." He left before she could respond, but Olivia found herself grinning anyway. The Parker Hotel was everything Olivia had imagined and more. The building was a Victorian masterpiece, all ornate molding and original hardwood floors. It also needed significant updating to meet Bradford standards while preserving its character. Olivia moved into a small office at the Parker the following week, coordinating between contractors, designers, and the existing hotel staff. The transition was supposed to be smooth, but tensions ran high. The Parker employees were protective of the hotel and suspicious of the Bradford takeover. The Bradford team thought the Parker staff were resistant to necessary changes. Olivia found herself mediating constantly. "We have always done afternoon tea service in the lobby," Margaret, the longtime Parker concierge, insisted during one particularly tense meeting. "Our guests expect it." "And we will continue it," Olivia assured her. "We are not eliminating traditions. We are enhancing them. Better tea selections, upgraded china, marketing to attract new guests. As long as Bradford does not turn us into one of their cookie-cutter properties. That is exactly what we are trying to avoid, I promise. Yates visited the property twice a week to check progress. His presence made everyone nervous except Olivia, who had grown used to his demanding standards. They still argued constantly, but now it felt like a familiar rhythm. "The website design is too busy," he said, looking over her shoulder at her computer one afternoon. "It has personality. Unlike your other hotel sites, which look like they were designed by robots. My other hotel sites are clean and professional. They are sterile. This is better. The navigation is confusing. Then we will add a tutorial overlay for first-time visitors, or we could simplify the design. Yates, trust me on this. Our target demographic does not want simple. They want engaging." He sighed, but he did not push further. "Fine. But if the bounce rate is high, we are redesigning." "Deal." As the weeks passed, Olivia realized she was enjoying herself. The work was challenging and exhausting, but it was hers. She was building something from the ground up, and seeing her vision come to life was intoxicating. She also found herself looking forward to Yates's visits more than she wanted to admit. "You are falling for him," Marcus said when she mentioned it during their weekly dinner. "I am not." "Liv, you spent 20 minutes describing the way he argued with you about carpet patterns. With affection." "I did not. You absolutely did, and you called him Yates instead of Mr. Bradford. That is new." Olivia pushed her food around her plate. "Even if I were interested, which I am not saying I am, he is my boss, and he is way out of my league. He is also clearly into you. He is not. He visits that hotel twice a week when he has 51 other properties to oversee. He does not do that because he is worried about carpet patterns. He does it because this is a critical project. Keep telling yourself that." But Marcus's words stuck with her. The next time Yates visited, Olivia found herself hyper-aware of him. The way he stood close when reviewing documents, how his hand brushed hers when passing papers, the intensity in his eyes when he listened to her ideas. She was imagining it. She had to be. 2 months into the Parker project, disaster struck. A competitor hotel chain leaked a story to the press claiming Bradford was gutting the historic Parker Hotel and turning it into a generic luxury property. The article included quotes from anonymous Parker staff members expressing concern about the changes. Olivia saw it online at 6 a.m. and immediately called Yates. "I know," he said, answering on the first ring. "I am on my way to the Parker now. Meet me there in 30 minutes. The hotel was in chaos when she arrived. Staff members clustered in worried groups, guests asked questions at the front desk, and reporters had already started calling. Yates stood in the lobby, his expression thunderous. "Conference room. Now," he said when he saw Olivia. She followed him, along with the Parker general manager and the Bradford communications director. For the next hour, they strategized. The story was damaging but not fatal if they responded correctly. "We need to show the public what we are actually doing," Olivia said. "Transparency is our best weapon. Let me put together a social media campaign showing the renovation process, with testimonials from staff about how we are preserving the Parker's character." "That could backfire if staff members are the ones who talk to the press," the communications director warned. "Then we find out who didn't address it directly," Yates said. "But Olivia is right. Secrecy makes us look guilty. Transparency shows confidence." Over the next week, Olivia barely slept. She coordinated photo shoots, interviewed staff members, and managed a social media campaign that showcased every aspect of the renovation. She posted before and after photos with detailed explanations of design choices. She shared stories from longtime employees about their input in the process. She went live on Instagram from the hotel, answering questions in real time. The tide began to turn. Design bloggers praised the sensitive renovation. Former Parker guests expressed excitement about the updates. The story lost momentum as evidence mounted that Bradford was doing exactly what Olivia had promised, preserving the Parkers' soul while elevating its standards. The day the glowing article appeared in a major travel magazine, Yates called Olivia into his temporary office at the Parker. "You handled that crisis brilliantly," he said without preamble. "Thank you. I am just glad it worked. It worked because you understood what was at stake and did not panic. That is rare." He paused, seeming to weigh his words. "You have exceeded every expectation I had when I brought you onto this project. I had a good teacher, even if he is impossible to please. I am not impossible, I am selective. You literally rejected 17 versions of the opening event invitation, because 16 of them were wrong." Olivia laughed. "My point exactly." Yates stood and walked around his desk, leaning against it so he was closer to her. The office suddenly felt smaller. "Olivia, I need to tell you something." Her heart stuttered at his use of her first name. He rarely used it. "Okay. This project has been the most challenging of my career. Not because of the work itself, but because you have challenged me at every turn. You do not defer to me because of my title. You do not accept my decisions without question. You fight for what you believe is right, even when it means arguing with your boss. I can tone it down if it is a problem. It is not a problem, it is refreshing, and it has made this project better. You have made me better." He held her gaze, and she saw something in his eyes that made her breath catch. "But it has also made the last 3 months exceptionally difficult." "Difficult how?" "Because I have had to maintain a professional relationship with you when every instinct I have has been pushing me to cross that line." The air between them crackled with tension. Olivia's pulse pounded in her ears. "What line?" she asked, though she knew. "This one." He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her cheek. "Tell me to stop." "I do not want you to stop." He kissed her then, and it was nothing like she had imagined. It was better. His hand cupped her face, his lips warm and insistent, and she melted into him. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard. "I have wanted to do that since the day you challenged me in the boardroom," Yates admitted. "I have wanted you to do that since about 2 weeks after I started hating you." He laughed, a real laugh that made her smile. "When did you stop hating me?" "I am not sure I have. You are still impossible. And you are still argumentative. We are going to drive each other crazy. Probably." He kissed her again, softer this time. "But I am willing to risk it if you are." The Parker Hotel officially reopened 6 weeks later with an event that drew media coverage from outlets across the country. The lobby gleamed with restored brass fixtures and elegant vintage furniture. The rooms blended historic charm with modern amenities. The rooftop bar offered stunning city views and craft cocktails. Olivia stood in the lobby, watching guests arrive, and felt overwhelming pride. She had done this. With Yates, yes, but she had led the vision and execution. Yates appeared beside her, impeccable in a tuxedo. "You should be proud." "I am. We pulled it off. You pulled it off. I just provided resources and excessive criticism." "The criticism helped, sometimes." He took her hand and she laced her fingers through his. They had kept their relationship quiet for the past month, but tonight it did not matter. Tonight was a celebration. "Dance with me," Yates said as the band started playing. "There are 100 people here who probably need to talk to us. They can wait 5 minutes." He led her to the small dance floor set up in the corner of the lobby. As they swayed to the music, Olivia rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "What are you thinking?" he asked. That 3 months ago I thought you were the most insufferable man I had ever met. And now, I still think that, but I also think I am falling in love with you." She felt him still, then his hand tightened on her waist. "Say that again." Olivia pulled back to look at him. "I am falling in love with you, Yates Bradford, even though you drive me absolutely crazy." His smile was radiant. "I am already in love with you. I have been for weeks, maybe longer." He kissed her there on the dance floor, in front of board members and staff and guests, and Olivia did not care who saw. Over the next year, Olivia continued managing the Parker Hotel while also consulting on Bradford's expansion into the boutique market. They acquired 3 more historic properties, and each time, Yates insisted Olivia lead the integration strategy. Her innovative approach became the model for the entire boutique division. Their relationship deepened, though they still argued constantly. Yates remained demanding and particular. Olivia remained stubborn and unwilling to compromise on matters of principle. But they had learned to channel that tension into productive collaboration. "You are going to hate this," Olivia said one evening, curled up on the couch in Yates's apartment while he reviewed her proposal for the next acquisition. "Why would I hate it?" "Because it is expensive, risky, and contradicts your conservative financial philosophy." He read through it, his expression inscrutable. "You want to buy a property that is not even on the market yet." "The Harrington Inn in Charleston. It is perfect for our boutique portfolio, but the owners have not decided to sell." "So you propose making an unsolicited offer that is significantly above market value to convince them?" "Yes. That is aggressive. That is strategic. If we wait for them to list it, we will be in a bidding war with other chains." Yates set down the proposal and pulled her into his lap. "You are becoming as ruthless as I am. I learned from the best and most impossible." "Exactly." She kissed him, soft and slow. "So what do you think?" "I think you are brilliant, and I am going to approve this ridiculous plan because you are usually right about these things." "Usually? I have to maintain some authority." "Your authority is wildly overstated." He kissed her again, deeper this time, and Olivia forgot what they were arguing about. 2 years after the Parker Hotel reopened, Yates took Olivia back to where it all started. They stood in the lobby, now fully established as one of the most sought-after boutique hotels in the country. "You remember the first time I brought you here?" he asked. "You mean when I thought you were going to fire me for the 17th time?" "I never threatened to fire you." "Your facial expressions did." "I cannot control my face." "You absolutely can. You do it in board meetings." Yates shook his head, smiling. "Always arguing, always." He took her hand, leading her to the center of the lobby beneath the restored chandelier. Then, to her shock, he knelt down on one knee. "Yates, what are you doing?" "What I should have done months ago." He pulled out a ring box, opening it to reveal a stunning diamond that caught the light from the chandelier above. "Olivia Turner, you have challenged me, frustrated me, inspired me, and made me better at everything I do. You see possibilities where I see problems. You fight for what matters. You make me laugh even when I am trying to stay angry at you. I love you more than I thought I could love anyone." Tears streamed down Olivia's face. "I know I am demanding and difficult. I know I drive you crazy. But I also know that I want to spend the rest of my life arguing with you about design choices and marketing strategies and everything else. Will you marry me?" "Yes," Olivia said, laughing through her tears. "Yes, even though you are impossible. Yes." He slid the ring onto her finger and stood, lifting her off her feet as he kissed her. The hotel staff who had gathered to watch burst into applause, and Olivia realized they had an audience. She did not care. They got married 8 months later in the Parker Hotel, surrounded by family and friends. Marcus served as Olivia's man of honor. Richard Bradford stood as Yates's best man, his eyes bright with pride as he watched his son marry the woman who had transformed both his professional life and personal one. The ceremony was elegant but personal, reflecting the blend of classic and modern that had become their signature. Olivia wore a vintage-inspired gown that she found at a small boutique in Boston. Yates wore a classic tuxedo and cried when she walked down the aisle, which she would tease him about for years. "I love you," he whispered as they exchanged rings. "Even though you chose flowers I explicitly said were too colorful. They are perfect, and you know it. They are perfect because you chose them." Their first dance was to the same song that had played at the Parkers' reopening, and as they swayed together, Olivia thought about how far they had come. From enemies to partners to lovers to this, a lifetime together. "What are you thinking about?" Yates asked, his lips brushing her ear. "About how I spilled coffee on myself and yelled at a CEO, and it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me." "I spilled the coffee on you. You are never going to admit that, are you? Not as long as I live." She laughed and kissed him, and the room full of guests faded away. 3 years into their marriage, Olivia discovered she was pregnant. She told Yates over dinner at their favorite restaurant, sliding the ultrasound photo across the table as dessert arrived. He stared at it for a long moment, then looked up at her with wonder in his eyes. "We are having a baby. We are having a baby." He was around the table in an instant, pulling her into his arms. "I love you. God, I love you so much. I love you too, even though you are going to be an impossible father. I am going to be a great father. You are going to argue with our child about everything. Only if they inherited your stubborn streak." Their daughter, Nora, was born on a snowy December morning, and she was perfect. She had Yates's gray eyes and Olivia's determination, a combination that promised years of interesting parenting. Olivia scaled back her work responsibilities after Nora was born, transitioning to a consulting role that gave her more flexibility. Yates, surprisingly, did the same, delegating more operational duties so he could be present for their daughter. "I never thought I would see Yates Bradford leave the office before 7, Marcus commented when he visited to meet Nora. "Fatherhood has changed him," Olivia said, watching Yates cradle their daughter with a tenderness that made her heart ache. "You changed him. Fatherhood just amplified it." Maybe that was true. Yates was still demanding at work, still a perfectionist who pushed his teams to excellence. But he had learned balance. He had learned that some things mattered more than quarterly reports and acquisition strategies. When Nora was 2, Olivia became pregnant again, this time with twins. Boys, the ultrasound revealed, and Yates was simultaneously thrilled and terrified. "3 children," he said, staring at the ultrasound. "We are going to have 3 children. Are you panicking?" "Absolutely." "Good. That means you are taking this seriously." "I take everything seriously. You know that." "I do. It is one of the things I love about you." The twins, James and Lucas, arrived early but healthy, and suddenly their house was full of chaos. Yates handled it with the same focused determination he brought to business deals, color-coding schedules and optimizing diaper-changing stations. "You made a spreadsheet for feeding times?" Olivia asked, laughing as she found his tablet open on the kitchen counter. "It is the only way to track who ate when. They are babies, not a hotel acquisition." The same organizational principles apply. She kissed him, tasting coffee and the mint toothpaste he always used. "I love you, you ridiculous man. I love you too. Now hand me James." According to the spreadsheet, he is due for a feeding in 3 minutes. Life settled into a happy rhythm. Olivia continued consulting on select projects, always the ones that interested her most. Yates expanded the Bradford boutique division to 15 properties, each one unique and successful. They argued about everything from parenting strategies to business decisions to what color to paint the living room. "You are being unreasonable," Yates said during one particularly heated debate about whether Nora was old enough for piano lessons. "I am being realistic. She is 4. Mozart was composing at 5. Mozart was a prodigy. Nora still eats crayons. She ate one crayon and it was an accident. My point stands. They compromised, as they always did, enrolling Nora in a music exploration class instead of formal lessons. It was perfect, just like most of their compromises ended up being. On their 10th wedding anniversary, Yates took Olivia back to the Parker Hotel for the weekend. His parents watched the kids, and for 2 days it was just them. "Remember when I proposed here?" Yates asked as they sat in the rooftop bar watching the sunset. "Of course. You made me cry in front of the entire staff. You looked beautiful crying. Such a romantic." He took her hand, running his thumb over her wedding ring. "I mean it. You were beautiful then and you are beautiful now. And every day in between. You have gotten much better at saying things like that. I had a good teacher. She has been correcting me for a decade," Olivia laughed. "And I will keep correcting you for decades more. I am counting on it." He pulled her close, and they watched the city lights flicker to life as darkness fell. "You know, I used to think success meant building an empire, growing the company, expanding market share, beating the competition. And now I know success is this. You, our children, the life we have built together. The company matters, but it is not everything. You taught me that." Olivia felt tears prick her eyes. "You taught me things too, to push myself, to believe I was capable of more than I thought, to fight for what I wanted. We make a good team. The best team. Even though you still drive me crazy. And you still argue with everything I say. Always." He kissed her as the sun disappeared below the horizon, and Olivia thought about the journey that had brought them here. From enemies to collaborators to partners in every sense of the word. It had not been easy, but it had been worth it. Years later, when their children were grown and starting careers of their own, Olivia and Yates still worked side by side. Nora had joined Bradford Hotels as a designer, bringing fresh perspectives to their properties. James pursued architecture, designing several of the boutique hotels his parents acquired. Lucas chose a different path entirely, becoming a teacher, but he remained close to the family. On a random Tuesday afternoon, Olivia found Yates in his home office, staring at his computer with that intense focus she knew so well. "What are you working on?" she asked, setting down a cup of coffee on his desk. "Reviewing proposals for the Miami acquisition. And the marketing strategy is weak, so fix it." "I am trying to figure out how you would approach it." Olivia smiled. After all these years, he still valued her opinion above all others. "Show me." She pulled up a chair and they dove into the proposal together, debating and discussing and occasionally arguing. It felt like coming home, this rhythm they had perfected over decades. "You are wrong about the target demographic," Olivia said, pointing at the screen. "I am not wrong. The data supports my conclusion. The data is incomplete. You are not accounting for seasonal tourism patterns." "I absolutely accounted for that." "No, you accounted for general seasonal trends. Miami has specific events that drive boutique hotel bookings outside normal patterns." Yates studied the data again, then sighed. "You are right. I usually am. Let us not get carried away." She laughed and kissed his cheek. "After 30 years, you would think you would accept that I am smarter than you. I accept that you are differently smart. Which is why I still need you on every major project. Good thing you married me then. The best decision I ever made, even though you spilled coffee on me. You spilled coffee on me. My version is better." They argued about it for another 10 minutes, just like they had argued about everything for the past 3 decades. And Olivia would not have changed a single moment. That evening, as they sat on their back porch watching the sunset, Yates took her hand. "What are you thinking about?" Olivia asked. "About that day in the executive lounge when I ran into you. You admit it. I am old. I can admit things now." He smiled. "I am thinking about how angry you were, how you stood there covered in coffee and yelled at me anyway. Most people were terrified of me back then." "You were terrifying. You still are sometimes. But not to you, not to me. That is what I loved about you from the start. You never treated me like I was untouchable. You challenged me, pushed back, made me justify every decision. You made me better. You made me better too. You believed in me when I was just an intern who did not know what she was capable of." Yates lifted her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles gently. "I knew exactly what you were capable of. I saw it that first day when you refused to back down in the boardroom. I just had to wait for you to see it too. And then you made me fall in love with you by being impossible and demanding and utterly perfect. I am far from perfect, perfect for me." They sat in comfortable silence as the sky turned pink and gold. Two people who had spent a lifetime arguing and loving and building something extraordinary together. 3 children, 17 boutique hotels, countless debates, and endless love. "You have any regrets?" Yates asked suddenly. Olivia thought about it, really thought about it. The long hours, the difficult projects, the moments of doubt and frustration. Then she thought about everything they had built, their family, their partnership, their love. "Not a single one," she said. "You? Only that I did not kiss you sooner. You kissed me exactly when you were supposed to. Any earlier and I might have pushed you away. True. You were very committed to hating me. You were very committed to being hateable." He laughed, that full, genuine laugh she had fallen in love with years ago. "Fair point." As darkness settled around them, Olivia leaned her head on Yates's shoulder, feeling his arm wrap around her waist. After all these years, his touch still sent warmth through her. His presence still felt like home. "I love you," she said quietly. "I love you too. Even though you are still argumentative. And you are still impossible. Always." They sat together under the stars, two stubborn people who had found each other in the most unexpected way and built a lifetime of love through collaboration, argument, and unwavering partnership. It was not the love story Olivia had imagined when she was young, but it was infinitely better, because the best love stories are not about perfection. They are about finding someone who challenges you to be better, who argues with you because they care enough to fight for what matters, who sees past your defenses to the person you truly are. Olivia had found that in Yates Bradford, the impossible CEO who could not stop arguing with her or staring at her with those intense gray eyes. And he had found it in her, the stubborn intern who refused to back down. They had built an empire together, but more importantly, they had built a life. Full of love, laughter, argument, and joy. A life that started with spilled coffee and angry words but grew into something neither of them could have imagined. As they headed inside for the evening, Yates paused at the door. "What?" Olivia asked. "Nothing. I just wanted to look at you for a moment. After 30 years, you have not seen enough. I will never see enough. You are still the most beautiful, infuriating, brilliant woman I have ever known. And you are still the most impossible man. We are perfect for each other." "Yes," Olivia agreed, rising on her toes to kiss him. "We really are, and they were. Two enemies who became collaborators, then partners, then lovers, then everything. Two people who proved that the best relationships are not built on easy agreement but on passionate disagreement, mutual respect, and the willingness to challenge each other to be better. Their story had started with an argument and continued with 1,000 more, each one deepening their connection and strengthening their love. And as they walked into their home together, hand in hand after decades of partnership, both knew that they would continue arguing, loving, and building together for the rest of their lives. Because some people are meant to agree on everything. But Olivia and Yates were meant for something better. A love forged in debate, strengthened by challenge, and perfected by absolute, unwavering commitment to each other. It was not a simple love story, but it was theirs, and it was perfect.